I want to thank everyone for coming to our June board meeting, and I want to welcome you. And we have Coach Homsky, and asked him if he would open us in a word of prayer and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Everyone bow your heads, please. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for the blessings that you bestow upon us. We thank you for bringing us all here to this point tonight. Lord, please be with this board and Dr. Light as they make decisions tonight and that affect all of us here in the school system. And Lord, just guide and direct everyone this summer as we go through, trying to get through this summer and get to the start of next year, Lord. And we just thank you so much for the blessings that you give us. In your holy and precious name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, John.
I think they negotiated back there.
Next on our agenda are the consent items, consisting of the agenda, minutes of the May 10th, 2022 and May 26th, 2022 meetings, and a fundraiser for varsity girls basketball. One thing on the agenda, item 13 is being removed. Do you have any other questions on the agenda, on the consent items?
Make a motion to approve as presented.
Have a motion to accept the consent items?
Second.
Second by Mr. Madison. All in favor? Unanimous. Do we not have any public discussion here? Next on our agenda is recognition of perfect score from end of grade, end of course state tests.
Board members, we have a very distinct honor that we want to not only recognize, but to acknowledge with the student and the teacher. We have 2 perfect scores this year. Perfect scores are not common. We had 7 that were in the 99th percentile, but we only had 2 that were perfect scores. So we want to acknowledge them tonight. We want to thank them for their efforts in testing, but we also want to acknowledge how special it is that you got every one right. The first one tonight that we are going to recognize is Mr. Sean Chamberlain. Step right up, please. Congratulations. Sean actually showed off and got a perfect score on math test, a 6th grade math. I was hoping you remembered. That's good. 6th grade math test. Now, Dad's trying to get a picture, so hold on to this for us. Get a picture.
You're good.
Okay. I didn't know if you needed a student to help you.
No. Technology, yes.
Yes. And not to be left out, Miss Janice Madison, if you would step forward, please. Miss Janice Madison was his teacher. Sean, come on up here if you would. Yes. Congratulations. Have you had a perfect score before that you remember?
First time.
Would you mind getting a picture of both of them?
Yes.
There we go. Better smile, son.
Congratulations to both of you. Okay, we have one more. We have Mr. Cody Durant. Cody got a perfect score on his 11th grade U.S. history. You do remember. That's wonderful. Congratulations. Hold on now, don't leave. That perfect score, meaning that you didn't miss any, is also an honor for your teacher, who is Mr. Will Humpkus, and we'd like him to come forward. Everybody get a picture. Congratulations, that is awesome. Very well done. Board members, at your station, I actually provided the scale score for all of the tests. And if you look to your far right where it says distinguished, that final number on the far right is a perfect score. As an example, Sean got a 700 and Cody got, they equate it to a 100 in a grade conversion for 11th grade. So congratulations to both of them, and again, their teachers as well. That is a wonderful feat, and we're very proud of you. Great job.
We wanted to honor you, but we don't want to punish you. So if you want to leave now, you're more than welcome to. But you're also welcome to stay.
No, then I would be punishing you.
Next on our agenda are the financials.
Okay, this is our financials. We are ending the May month. We are 91.56% of the fiscal year complete, so almost there. And if you look down at the bottom, we are 92.87% of our revenues. So we are right on track. You can see what makes it up. We're doing really well in our local ad valorem taxes. We are right on track with our state QBE. State grants, we're looking a little low, but we're gonna get 100% by the time I do all the drawdowns and necessary items come in. So we're looking pretty good on total revenues. I'll let y'all take a look at everything. If you have any questions. Okay. Moving on to expenditures. So once again, 91.66%. And we are only 88.17% expended all the way through. We do feel like this will eventually jump up to 100%. You can see by instruction, pupil services, all those, we're right in line with in between 88 to that 92 mark. So we're looking pretty good on expenditures. The one that's really low, you can see, is down there at the bottom, transfers and other outlays. That's going to be 100% once I transfer the pre-K funds over. So we'll be 100 there. Moving on to our balance sheet. Cash and investments, we have $3.265 million with the total assets and fund equity, total liabilities and fund equity of 4.248. Okay, moving on to our fund equity, you can see down at the bottom, 12.455 expenditures, and then end of the period, 2.316. So we're looking pretty good at this time of the year. Any questions? Okay, moving on to SPLOST collection proceeds, still my favorite one to present on. This month, we're even higher than the last month, so the highest we've ever been. If we continue at this rate, well, we don't know if we will, but it would be awesome if we did. So just as a comparative, last year at this time, we've only collected $754,000. This year we've collected $861, so we're 14% higher, $106,000 greater than what we were doing last year. Moving on to our SPLOST summary. So this adjustment, all it was taking in that $80,000 we've received this past month, as well as some interest. We've already done our payments for bond interest and payments, leaving us with a total balance of $283,538. And then down with our bond ad valorem taxes, no real changes here, $576,000. So our total balance available for future bond and interest payments is $860,000. So we're definitely covering our October 1st total of that $383,000 and just building up towards that next payment of about $1.16 million. Okay. Capital projects, no real change since last board meeting. I do know that they are still working on it. The concession stand labor, not sure how much more materials are involved, but labor is involved, but that labor is free. So we are right now total spend 25,858, so whatever we do not spend is just available for something else. Okay, this is the general fund. Basically what I've already presented, but now we can see what we've done in this month, as well as we have outstanding purchase orders. So once again, 92.87% revenue out of the 91.66. And then down here at the bottom with all the expenditures, we have 70,632 encumbered. The majority of that is the maintenance and operation of plant, so that's some HVAC repairs as well as some wax for the LCES flooring, and just other little items that make that up.
Speaking, do you have any questions?
I got a question. Are you gonna continue to, budget like Ms. Buffer does?
What does that mean?
That means overestimate revenues and underspend it.
Overestimate revenues?
You've got it back.
Okay,
Okay,
yes,
right.
yes, we want to do the opposite, underestimate revenues.
Yeah.
Yes, I will do that for like impact aid, because
Okay.
like some of these things aren't for sure, but.
Like a 2%, is that your number? That's your number, 2%?
2%? What does that mean?
Usually you come in about 2 to 3% different.
Oh.
Oh, like-
More than that?
Yeah, it's more than that.
4%. I was just curious on if you were gonna continue that, because the finances have been in great shape.
Finance have been in great shape. I will do whatever I can to continue, making sure they are in great shape.
Well, look, they say that, they tell us at our training that the finances are the most important thing. That's the first thing we're supposed to look at.
I will try to continue doing.
I'm training her well.
Yeah, all right. I'm just curious, I'll make sure.
Sorry, Ms. Stevens.
He won't let me ask you more questions.
You can ask as many questions as you want.
Thank you, Ms. Stevens.
Moving on to the special revenue funds. This is basically whatever's expended, we draw down. So even though we're not at that 91.66% yet, that's just due to, we have some accruals left. This is a cash basis, so May might not have been collected until June, so we'll see it next month. As well as there's some other funds we just have not drawn down yet because we're just waiting some pre-approvals. But once we can draw them down, we should be in good shape. Okay. Capital projects. No real changes since last month, except we have a little bit of interest. So nothing to really note there. And then debt service, you can see that our revenues are 113%, and then we are completely done with our expenditures at 100%. Okay. We are in this June meeting, we are going to go over the Q3 or Q1, January through March of 2022 for the activity accounts for the schools. First up, we have elementary school. So you can see here the beginning balance starting Q1 of January was $35,226.97. And we are ending with a balance of $41,149.67. So elementary school actually had an increase, and you can see it based off of which activities had those receipts and disbursements. Next up is our middle school.
Can I ask a question? And
Yes.
this may be, I don't see the principal, where it just says contributions, is that just community contributions on that?
That's a lot of field trips, where the parents contribute like $3 toward the field trip fee, that kind of
Okay.
thing. That's what most of that is.
Thank you.
Moving on to the middle school. Starting off the quarter, we had a beginning balance of $63,837, and we are ending with $62,353. So not much change, pretty much equal receipts and disbursements. Next up is our high school activity accounts. Beginning balance, 56,103. Ending balance, 54,205. And the last of our activities is the athletic account, starting with 74,979 and ending with 68,917. And we'll do this again in another quarter for April through June.
Any questions on any of the finances which is presented? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And now we'll move on into the approval of the FY23 budget.
Okay, so the fiscal year 23 budget discussion, as of June 14th, 2022, we're kind of comparing this to our last meeting of May 26th. I highlighted, you can't really see here, but I did highlight there's only 4 line items that had some changes. The biggest one is the increase in bus bond revenue and then adding the bus bond expenditures. So we knew that was gonna possibly be an adjustment, and we actually were able to actualize on it and get it in. So overall, we received over the next 3 years, a grant for 6 buses. We decided to take 2 right now currently of, in this year, and hoping to do 2, 2, 2, but if that changes, we can do different arrangements, but we want to get all 6 buses in the next 3 years because that's when the grant runs out. So with that said, our increase in bus bond revenue is $192,000. There is $88,000 per bus, as well as $12,000 in propane adjustments that they give us, or grants they give us. And then we also added the purchase of the buses. You will see that we're actually coming out favorable, and that's because at our original May 26th meeting, we put in a bus purchase, assuming we would not be getting a funding grant. So we're actually coming out favorable because we actually are getting 2 funding versus the 2 buses we were gonna buy. So $40,000 favorable since last time. And then the other 2 adjustments are just employee replacements and an increase in experience, only about $2,000 worth. So not big, but just a notable change. And that's all the changes that we made since last meeting. So bringing us to a 301 estimated adjustment to fund balance in fiscal year 23, so you can see the $40,000 increase.
Okay, any questions on our budget for FY23? This, we need to vote, this is final approval for this budget.
You go down to the bottom page. And these are just different views of that adjustments. But the bottom page is what we're going to be voting to approve on.
Need a motion?
I do. Or some questions, either one.
No questions.
All right.
I'll offer a motion. A motion to approve it.
We have a motion to approve the fiscal FY23 budget as presented.
I'll second.
We have a second by Mr. Reese. Any more discussion? All in favor? Unanimous?
Excuse me, thank you all.
And now we'll go into the amendment of this year's budget.
Okay, here is the final fiscal year 22 amended budget. There are only 2 changes since the last time. Special revenues funds, we were able to get a nurse grant approved of $15,000, so those revenues and expenditures are now in there in the special revenues. And then in the general fund, we added 130K worth of HVAC units, subject to approval by the state. This is just a precaution. It's a precaution measure to ensure that the general fund does not go over budget, so it might not happen, but we just are adding it in just in case. And that's the only adjustments we've made.
Can you go through that one more time, the HVAC part?
Yes, so we've added 130K to the general fund of HVAC units. What we're doing right now is waiting the approval of the state on these HVAC units. And if it does not get approved, it would have to go into general fund. But right now, we're hoping to do it with ESSER funds. So we're just a precaution. We think it's gonna be good with ESSER funds, but we are just doing this just in case.
What line item is that?
It would be,
2,600?
yes, it would be maintenance and operation of plant, yes.
You're starting to get these counts down. Look at you go.
I've been listening to Ms. Buffalo.
Is there any reason they wouldn't get approved? I mean, what, I'm just curious by saying that.
What has happened is the state got behind on approving things based on what it was attached to, whether it was ESSER 2 or ESSER 3. And I really don't think the state was ready for the money that it got because of the rules that they got from the feds that changed, just like they did for us. So now they're backtracking, trying to approve everything. If we weren't going to close out the entire school year in 2 weeks or a week and a half, we would wait and not talk about this and get the final approval. But if we don't have something in precaution, then we're going to go over and it's going to look bad on the general fund because it did get approved. So we don't want to take that chance, so this is just a way to wash and make sure we're still covered.
If it does get approved, we'll have to come back and do an amendment on this.
If we get approved, we are, yes, we would just be,
We won't have to
Yeah.
amend it because you can just be
We're
under
under.
budget.
Okay.
That makes sense.
You just can't go over budget.
Gotcha,
So,
okay. Thank you for that.
We don't want to finding, that's what, you know how I am about finding, so.
This would be her finding because it would be her last one, which means she'd have to stay, right?
Put that in the paper.
Cover our budget.
All right. Any questions on this?
I'll make a motion to approve it as presented, the FY 22 amended budget.
We have a motion. Do you have a second?
Second.
And a second from Mr. Massey. All in favor? Thank you. Next on our agenda is the facility plan development with Georgia Department of Education.
Okay, every 5 years, public school districts are required to complete and submit a facility plan. We have done this once since I have been here, and I have served on many others in different districts. The plan describes the expectations of the district and the community to maintain, renovate, or construct, if you need to, facilities within the district. So Georgia requires us to get the board to approve the state to assist us with this process. What happens is we go through and create a plan. We have superintendents from other districts come to Lincoln County. They review the plan, they have a discussion and review the facilities and with the facilities department, and then they either approve or make recommendations on that plan, and then I would bring it back to the board for final approval. So you can see on the second page, thank you, Dr. Gumby, on the second page, it's demonstrating this is for May 22, August 22, and it's actually 22-23, because we have to approve this recommendation by August 1. So we still have time if we need to discuss it, but I wanted to get it in here so that everybody had a chance to read it and look at it. So that's the reason for it being in here so early.
I know we approved a plan 5 years ago. I don't really recall seeing that plan since though.
Okay.
And I know we haven't really built anything and don't really have funds to build something, but I mean, is that something we should be looking at least annually?
Well, it was, the original plan was for us to use the state facility plans, our state facility funds to do HVAC and upgrade the HVAC over here as well as the elementary school. Well, as we were in the process of getting that started to follow that plan, then ESSER funds came out. So they told us not to do that, leave those funds in there so they would continue to grow and use ESSER funds to do that, which is what we fell back to do. So we're still following the plan, we're just using different funds of money.
Tonight, we just need to, we need to decide if we want to adopt this resolution to start this action.
And you said we'll have the plan back by this August? Or
It would be 23.
23?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, so we got, okay.
We got plenty of time.
Right being ahead.
Trying to learn that and push that.
Yes, sir.
Amen to that.
Let's make a motion to adopt the facility plan development.
There you go.
Georgia DOE.
Let's get up.
All right. We have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Massey. All in favor? Unanimous? Next, we have the comprehensive needs assessment presentation.
Okay, in front of you at your table, board members, is, I believe it's 2 sheets. The first one is actually the comprehensive needs assessment systems rating, which looks like the screen above. The second sheet that is 2-sided is going to help you follow along and help you get a better grasp or understanding of what these standards mean. If you just look at LT Standard 1, that doesn't mean a whole lot other than you know it's in cohort instruction. However, if you read the standard, engaged and supports all schools in systematic processes for curriculum design to align instruction and assessment with the required standards. Now it makes a whole lot more sense, I hope. So that's the reason for these extra sheets. Now, we've been blessed to have a couple of board members go through this process. Have you been through this process, sir?
I think so.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you were or not. I know that Mr. Heitman and Ms. Barksdale have definitely been through it. This rating is something that we do annually. We invite multiple community members, we invite teachers, we invite leadership team. We try to invite all of the players that would have some input and invite as many people as possible to attend. It was in the past a 2-day or 4-day event, and now they have reduced it all the way down to a 1-day event. Although it was a little long, Dr. Gumby, it was a very good event and gave everybody a chance to provide some input. So as you look at the sheet that has all the boxes and is on the screen, it was divided up into 4 teams. Those 4 teams were randomly selected except for the leader of those 4 teams, which was a principal or an assistant principal. On the right-hand side is the rating that those 4 teams created for each standard. The far right-hand side is the rating for last year, so it would give you an obvious visual comparison. You can see the first one were both operational. Now, the way these work is you have exemplary, which is at top, you have operational, you have emerging. What's the first one, Dr. Gumby? I know. I shouldn't have asked, but I'm trying to remember. We don't have any in the first, so it will not matter. But there is 4 actual standard or 4 actual degrees there. It is done in a example model. So as you're setting in your team, you look at the standard, you discuss the standard, and then you discuss where that group feels the district is rated or the school is rated, depending on the standard. Again, going back to the first one, engages and supports all schools in systematic processes for curriculum design to align instruction and assessment with required standards. Obviously supports all schools, that'd be talking about the district. As you look at standard 2, this year we are split, 2 teams set exemplary, 2 teams set operational. Neither of those are bad ratings. but we're on the border of being either exemplary or operational. Continuing with instruction, the next one down, we're continuing with operational, and then we do exemplary and operational in Standard 6 as well. All of those, I think, are very good ratings. You can see what it was in FY22 at operational on all four. So there is room for improvement without a question, but I think we're doing better. As you look at leadership standards, there is a lot of leadership standards. As you can see, all of those standards. The first one is administrators are clearly defined collaborative, data-driven budget process that ensures the equitable, efficient, and transparent distribution of resources to support learning and teaching. Everyone in that room decided that we were exemplary this year and were last year. I think that's a very good sign. Going down to the next standard, we went down from exemplary to operational, and standard 1 in governmental, we maintained operational, which is build support for districts and school goals and initiatives by engaging stakeholders, including school board members, to improve learning and teaching. Moving to standard 2, we are at exemplary, which is obviously where everybody wants to be. So as we go through these, I don't think it's necessary to read each one in leadership, but you can see all of them are in either exemplary or operational, which is where we try to target. Everybody wants to be perfect, but we are working on that and working towards that. Moving down to professional capacity. Professional capacity, the first standard establishes and implements processes that increase the effectiveness of teachers, leaders, and staff. This is an operational this year and was operational last year. We're trying to make sure that we not only are increasing effectiveness of that capacity, but also improving in each area, teachers, leaders, and staff. Moving down to LT Standard 4, we are exemplary. 4 ensures that professional learning is relevant and addresses adult and student needs. That was something that came up the year before and in 2020, trying to identify that all of the professional development is not only relevant, but it meets the needs of the students and the adults. So we're improving on that, which is great. And Standard 5, assess the impact of professional learning, and we're operational there. Family and community engagement, operational on the first 3. Moving down to Standard 3, exemplary, and then operational, which we dropped in 1, which is Standard 2, and we need to review and reestablish that exemplary status of where it was. Its Standard 2 is establishes structures which promote clear and open communication between teachers and stakeholders. Taking us down to supportive learning, operational in the first one, exemplary operational in the next 2. So very proud of what we have done in our CNA. We use this information to not only guide professional development, assist us in leadership recommendations, assist us in family and community engagement. All of this is extremely important. We want to thank everybody that was very involved in this. It is a community effort, and all of the information we get, we use to try to improve. So again, thank everybody that was involved, and this is our report for comprehensive needs assessment for 2023. For FY23. Yes.
On 2.5 AMR Standard 3, why do you think there's such a disparity between the 4 teams on that one? Because everything else is, either operational or exemplary or operational and emerging. But that one actually goes from exemplary to operational to emerging.
All the way down to emerging. Yes, it does. And that was Team 4.
Team 4 was your hardest judge.
Yep,
So,
by far.
Yep.
This is Team 4. They did not they had it operational and scribbled it out and put emerging. They did not make a statement there. And then I have another document back here. Sir, were you on team
I
4?
don't know, I think, I'm trying to think who the ball is. It was a lot of questions in our group.
This was in May.
Who was the ball?
Yours was last
He
year. This is
wasn't there.
Ms. Barksdale's year.
Oh, okay, when they
It's
have
been a
it,
whole
just
year.
recently?
It's been a year.
That was May, it was, April 25th.
Oh, my goodness, so you was on team 4.
I don't have a statement other than a check.
I mean, when you look at that.
Trying to figure that
What
out.
do you, I mean, from when you read that, I mean, what do you think is the biggest, or you think some people are more concerned with it? I mean, this talks about safe and conducive learning, conducive to learning, safe environment. Do you feel that there were some parents that maybe have some issues with some of our safety?
I don't know that safety was the issue as much as trying to understand the facility of, and we talked a lot about this, trying to keep the facility safe. Simple things of putting a rock in the door because you're not the last football player that's in. Well, that's not safe. We've talked about a number of times when I do lunch duty at the high school, if a truck driver, like delivering something to the school, but not food, because they go in a different door, pulls up, gets out of his truck and walks up to the door, our kids, as sweet as they are, come up and open the door and say, "What can we do to help you?" Well, that's not safe. They're supposed to go to the front door. And Dr. Wolski and I have both talked to the kids, and I've sat down at the table, let's talk about this. Look what's happened here. So I think that's more of the fear and the concern, and I know safety is on the front of everybody's mind with all the stuff that's going on outside. So I think that's a factor. Yes, sir, I do.
Question,
Sure.
do you have a hard time getting people to attend this?
No.
You don't?
No.
I mean, so I missed a whole year, so the year I was on it, it was a 2-day thing, right?
You were 3 day.
You were
No, it was just a 2-day, wasn't it?
Supposed to be.
This was
It was
last
3.
year. Well, I'll tell you one thing,
It's a lot.
that was a lot to cover in however many days I was here, so I can't imagine how they covered it all in one day.
Special for you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can see where there can be a lot of disparity in these results, because that's a lot to cover.
And one of the things as you're walking around as an administrator in this event, depending on who's at the table, is the point of view that they have the discussion.
Right.
As an example, the first time that Cassidy did it, most of her points of reference were back to McDuffie, because she had just gotten here, and she talked about McDuffie a lot sitting there. And I had to step in and say, wait a minute, we're talking about Lincoln, not McDuffie.
Yeah.
So all of that's a point of reference. If Mrs. Jones is sitting there and she doesn't come to school at all, it's a rough point of reference for her for safety. So
Yeah.
that's part of hopefully building a strong enough team that everybody's coming from different angles, and that makes it a better and stronger team.
Yeah. I'm just wondering, one day is enough, or 3 days? Or does it just confuse you the longer you do it?
Possibly.
I mean, really?
Possibly. We're just trying to narrow some things down. It is overwhelming for those who are not in the education arena.
Yeah.
And so just narrowing it down, using language that you would understand.
Right.
So we've gone from 3 days to 1 day, so Dr. Lennon, I would talk in maybe 2 days next year. But you respect everyone's schedule and make sure they can come back out for a 3-hour session, because there was 3 hours, all 3 sessions last year. So we went from 9 hours to 4.
And a lot of that was about mental health in
Correct.
that area, so there was a lot of
Okay.
discussion about mental health and having the support for mental health for
Okay.
students.
Okay.
Always a valuable conversation. It always is.
Thank you, Dr. Mike. Next, we have our scheduled July 12th board meeting.
Board meeting currently is scheduled on July 12th. I will be, Dr. Wolski will be, and Michael will be at the Gale Conference down in Jekyll Island during that time. So as opposed to us driving back and forth twice, it made more sense to me to push the meeting back by a week to July 19th. I'm hoping that doesn't complicate somebody else's vacation. But if possible, I would recommend that we move that to July 19th.
Anyone have any major objections?
don't, I have some tentative plans because that's my son's birthday.
Uh-oh.
For the 19th, but we'll just go ahead and schedule it for that day. That's fine.
I can call and apologize to her.
I'm out of town on the 12th, I was hoping. That was what you just had. It's messing me up.
Sorry. Not really.
Check it real quick.
Yes, sir.
We got orientation.
That's why we're asking.
At UGA, and I should have already checked this, but I think I'm okay, but I'm not sure. I mean, I can do whatever I gotta do.
Kevin's out of kindergarten.
I know, but they make us be there for some reason, I don't know why. Guess Susan can go, can't you? You gonna go, Susan?
So you can write a check. That's why they want you there.
27, 28, we did.
Yeah,
I thought we were.
You need a motion? I'll make a motion, we change the
We have a
July.
motion to change our July meeting to the 19th.
I'll say.
We have a second by Mr. Reese. All in favor?
Thank you all.
Thank you. Then we have two policies for review. EDD-160-5-3.10 and JCDAF.
Both of the policies are written and fine as they are written. The first one is dealing with transportation and the funding surveys and how that is acquired. And then the second one is off-campus conduct to AF, talking about if a student commits a felony off-campus, it can affect what's going on at school grounds. So they could be, and it says could be, may be affected by their school attendance, such as alternative school if necessary, based on the offense. Both of those are fine the way they are written, and I recommend we keep them where they are.
Any questions on those policies?
Okay.
Now we're going to move into superintendent's reports.
The superintendent's report was basically right in front with the celebration of the two students that did very well. We also had Ella Hudson, Nathaniel Childs, Allie Cox, David Gadsden, and Caden Crenshaw all were in the 99th percentile. They were not perfect scores, but they were in the 99th percentile. I wanted to congratulate them as well, and all of our teachers that have done a great job trying to get back into the end of course and end of grade tests. They are not easy, and I'm very proud of how well our students have done and how well our teachers have done. That is my report, sir.
Okay. Need a motion to go into executive session?
Hang on.
What? Hang on, sorry.
Okay, so Kyle and I had the opportunity to go to Savannah on last weekend, to the GSBA conference, and, it was a success again. Got a chance to see a lot of the governmental, candidates and hear their platforms, so that was great, and then talk about the school and the school system. While we were there, we did think about the board, we thought about you all, and, of course, just like 4 years ago, we brought something back for you. So, Chris, we know that soccer is your love, they had soccer balls there, so I want to make sure we got soccer ball.
These are stress balls. One soccer ball for you, one baseball for you, Jim. Just
Thank you.
Keep,
Keep the stress down. There you go.
So, Jason, we know that,
pass that down.
you're not gonna be on the
Jason.
board, so you'll be drinking coffee, we just wanted to keep you off mind.
Thank you very much.
Nice and relaxed.
Not like, we feel sorry for you. We know that your cell phone is gonna be blown up, so here's a fan to keep it cool.
There you go. Thank you so much.
Again, thank you all for allowing us the opportunity to go to Savannah and represent Lincoln County.
Yeah, it was my first time going. What I will tell you, in talking to a lot of the people putting it on, Usually it's about 500, 550 participants, and it was right at 700 people this year. So it was packed. Do I think some of that was probably going to an event like that and having, Superintendent Woods and then Kenneth Searcy that was both there and spoke, and then also having Kemp and then Stacey Abrams, who is running also for the gubernatorial race. Both of those were there. So it was a lot of participation, a lot of good things. Ultimately, safety and the students was the key topic. The whole weekend, just as we talk about all the time. The other big thing that I liked is to see the emphasis is not just how they're spreading it out. The CTAE is a huge topic that everybody's focusing on, and knowing, getting the students in the right angle through their high school career so that they can be successful, whether it be 4-year, 2-year, or a skill set. And that was pretty impressive to hear all of them talk and go through that. So just a good event all around.
Good. So you felt it was worth going for?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
You have anything you want to add to it?
No,
Okay.
that summed it up very well.
All right.
Thank you all very much. Glad you
Thank
went.
y'all for representing.
Make a motion to go into executive session. Second by Mr. Mattson. We'll call our meeting back to order. The superintendent is recommended, and I make a motion that we hire Tabitha Kelly as a pre-K teacher for the 2022-2023 school year.
Second.
Have a second by Mr. Madison. All in favor? Unanimous? Thank you. The superintendent is recommended, and I make a motion that we hire Miss Denise Brailsford as a substitute teacher for the 22-23 school year.
Second.
Have a second by Mr. Reese. All in favor? Unanimous? Superintendent is recommended, and I make a motion that we hire Ms. Kara Duran as substitute teacher for the 22-23 school year. Have a second by Ms. Barstow. All in favor? Unanimous? Superintendent is recommended, and I make a motion that we hire Ms. Sheila Landrum as a parapro for the high school for the 22-23 school year.
Second.
Second by Mr. Madison. All in favor? Unanimous? Superintendent is recommended, and I make a motion that we accept the resignation of Ms. Jennifer Brown from the school nutrition manager, effective June 30th, 2022.
Second.
Second by Mr. Reese. All in favor? Unanimous? Superintendent is recommended, and I make a motion that we hire Jacqueline Cobb as the JV football cheer coach, community coach for the 22-23 school year.
Second.
Second by Mr. Madison. All in favor? Unanimous. Anything else?
You approve that one.
Do you need to? That needs to be approved?
Right, for the
Okay.
supplements, yeah. Unless you want to wait till next month, but yeah, that's.
All right, I was reading the other ones. All right,
Want the paperwork?
did y'all review the supplements? I know we talked about all the supplements. Are we in a position that we can vote on approving all the supplement schedule that were presented to us tonight? Basically, they're saying the same. So,
They are.
okay, all right, let's go for it. The superintendent has provided us a supplement schedule. I make a motion that we approve them as presented.
Second.
And a second by Mr. Madison. All in favor? Unanimous. Anything else?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Mr. Madison, and a second by Mr. Hyden, second by Ms. Barstow. Thank you.